My friends, this is David Wood, and I'm talking about something that I'm going to be pretty brief about because I think that there's not a ton of people with this kind of information, except for maybe scientists. And so a lot of people, they wonder, how old is the universe? And scientists have said that approximately 13.5 billion years ago. That's what I believe the date is. It could be 14 around there. But I think it's 13.5 is what they're saying. So they're saying it's 13.5 billion years, and I'm saying the universe is close to 133 trillion years old. So at first glance, there seems to be a big discrepancy between what scientists have determined the age of the universe to be and what I'm saying, but there's actually not. Let me explain why. If you look at scientific theories, for example, on the Big Bang, they say that when the Big Bang happened, energy moved much more quickly, mass moved much more quickly, and everything was happening at great speeds. And then since then, the universe has been slowing down. So you have, let me explain how time works, okay? First of all, emerges from the imagination, but is a construct where as of something increases, the perception time will actually slow down. Actually, this comes from the theory of relativity. Einstein talked about this as well. It's not just me, right? So if you move faster and you have more mass, the perception of time is going to slow down, right? Does that make sense? The faster you get to the speed of light, the more time is going to slow down, right? Does that make sense? And so the faster your consciousness, more time. So moving at great speeds, like little children do, it slows down the perception of time massively slows it down. Okay. And so let me explain what happens. So the Big Bang happens, right? And I actually watched this video the other day that said that the whole plan for the universe would have had to existed moments before the Big Bang. Otherwise, the way that the universe is laid out actually couldn't happen according to modern scientists, which is really interesting and coincides with what I'm saying. So in any case, you have the Big Bang, and then what happens is from that you have worlds emerging, you have light emerging, you have darkness emerging, you have worlds and those Earths and those orbits are moving at infinitely greater speeds. I'm talking infinitely greater speeds than things move right now. Okay, so as they're moving at greater infinite speeds, all the life in the universe at that time would have had a much slower perception of time. Okay, so you speeds, and the perception of time slows down. So it's like one day be like 1,000 years, for example, the earlier in the universe, right? It might even been faster than that. It was really fast when all the mass and energy exploded from the Big Bang, right? And it's really important to understand that there's a lot of rotations. And so once again, we have a construct that works from our current perception of time, which is looking back in the universe and the way that light travels and stuff like that. And we're reaching from the way that light's coming at us and the things that we see in the universe and the mass and the motion that we calculate 13.5 billion years ago, there was a Big Bang, right? However, that's with the current way the Earth perceives time, which is not the way that the universe perceived or worked with time earlier in the universe. So therefore, is therefore much faster rotations around all the celestial bodies for trillions of years, and those faster rotations would have made it to where in our current perception of time, this happened 13.5 billion years ago. However, and this comes from, again, my theory on quantum mechanics, the theory of quantum mechanical consciousness. And okay, so again, it would have been much faster. Okay, I got a little distracted there. And then the perception of time would have massively slowed down. And then the universe has been decaying for a long time. And so what happens is the orbital speeds decay. And as the orbital speeds decay, the mass and energy of the celestial bodies shrink. And as they shrink, okay, because they're decaying in energy, right? They shrink and they decay in energy and mass because they're moving more slow, because energy equals mass times velocity squared, right? They're shrinking in energy. And because they're shrinking energy, our perception of time actually speeds massively up. So it's like now it's like we lose track of things and then the day's done, right? Well, it didn't used to be so. It used to be the day you got so much done, it was unbelievable and stuff like that. And that's the way people were. All right. And if you look through history, people are like that too. Like if you look at, for example, how much stuff people got done like 200-300 years ago in North America. It's like unrelatable compared to what people do today and how lazy we are, right? Because we're all systematically dependent on technology and whatnot and things like that. But my point is with this is that both are true. The universe is both 13.5 billion years old, and it's also 133, approximately 133 trillion years old. And that the I don't know the exact date on that, but the 133 trillionth cycle of the Earth, whenever that happens, will be the time that the universe will actually collapse into a single point, and then the whole universe will get put back and we'll enter into a new cycle. Okay, and that new cycle is going to be unbelievably weird, right? And this cycle is going to end unbelievably. And that cycle, you say, was that the second coming of Jesus? Nope, that's not what I'm talking about. That will actually happen in the new cycle. The new cycle will have already begun when the second coming of Jesus happened. I'm talking about the 133 trillion year cycle. When that comes to an end, the universe will collapse into a single point. It'll collapse into a single point. And then when it collapses into a single point, right, everybody, everybody will be enlightened, and then they're going to get put back in the universe and start forgetting all that knowledge, and Satan's going to start to see everybody. So it's going to get very bizarre. Right. So when the universe ends a creation cycle, the universe then the decay of the worlds and everything exponentially speeds up and it collapses into a single point is what happens. And it's happened many times through history. This has happened. Okay. And I'm not talking about the universe history. It's happened many times over and over again. It's happened 133,000 times. It's happened. And so I hope that helped you understand how the universe is both 13.5 billion years and also 133 trillion years old. Does that make sense to you? I hope that makes sense to you. You say, well, these are very fantastical theories. How are you going to prove these theories? Well, we will prove them later with mathematical equipment and all sorts of stuff that we need to build to prove the theories, to show you what you need to see. The reality is that who else have you ever ran into that can explain, for example, how light works and how electricity works? I can explain both. All right, later.